morning, Cardinals fans, and happy Victory Monday, and welcome into the Morning Scramble, where every week we chop it up, enjoy a nice cup of coffee, and rehash yesterday's game. But before we get into this one, let me introduce you to our breakfast club here. I'm Lisa Matthews, Jody Jackson, Felipe Corral, and Kyle Odegard here with you. Good morning, guys. And let's get right into the main dish. The Cardinals snap that 3-game losing streak, get the win in New York, 26-7. Really a dominant defensive performance all around. We'll get more into that. But Kyle, what impressed you most in this much needed win?
You're right. They needed it. And I thought that the Cardinals needed to find more edge pressure in this game because it had fallen off a little bit in the previous weeks. And I had no idea it was going to be like this. Hassan Reddick absolutely going off with the 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. Marcus Golden played really well. Dennis Gardeck with 2 more sacks and limited playing time. I thought that was the theme of the game, is just the way the defense dominated overall, and specifically the edge rushers just doing a fantastic job of getting after Daniel Jones and making sure he was never comfortable in this game. Jody?
Yeah, I mean, forcing turnovers, really, it was the opposite of what we've seen from the Cardinals. That they had the complementary football. The Giants on the other side, while their defense, is a pretty solid defense, and that's been shown by the statistics all season. But with nothing going on offense, the Cardinals didn't allow them to get anything going, and so, it allowed the Cardinals offense, which had a slow start, kind of allowed them to gain confidence, even though, they did not convert that 4th and goal early. And, that's my only concern out of this one. A lot of good things happened. You saw the connection between Murray and Hopkins. You saw the running game. You saw Kyler rushing 13 times in this game. So you did see that. A lot of positives, but, have a little concern about still the slow start, because when you have that other team, if they did have some kind of offensive attack in any way, the Giants, I think this would have been a little bit harder. But Felipe, I mean, what's your feeling? A lot of good in this one for sure when you win by 19 points.
After losing 3 straight games, you're kind of, focused on, are you going to make the proper adjustments to get you out of that slump? Something obviously we would have liked to see earlier instead of losing 3 straight, but, better late than never. The Giants were coming off a 4-game win streak. They're playing to maintain possession of that first spot in the division, like Cliff Kingsbury mentioned. So the fact that he made the adjustments, we saw DeAndre Hopkins. I know you guys are going to touch on him later on the show, but the fact that, he was involved early on, the run game was effective. Kyler Murray was effective in the pocket. It was just a good win for the Cardinals.
Yeah, lots of good in this one. So how about we do one of our favorite segments we haven't been able to do in a while. It's That's My Jam, a moment, a play from the game that made you say, that was good. Kyle, you got first dibs. Who you got?
To me, it was the Kylie Fitz kick forced fumble. I thought that was amazing. The Cardinals were only up 6-0 at the time, and the offense, like Jody said, wasn't able to punch it in early. They were settling for field goals. This game remained close going into the second quarter, and then Fitz had that awesome kick, and it would be nice to talk to him to see if he even realized what was going on with his leg or not, but he punched that ball out with his foot amazingly, and Trent Sherfield did a really nice job to jump on it and recover. Second straight week for Trent Sherfield to recover a fumble on special teams. And 3 weeks ago, he missed the game in New England because he was on the COVID-19 reserve list. So getting him back has been a boost for special teams the last 2 weeks. And I just think that was a big play to really change the tenor of this game, because the Cardinals went down, got a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's 13-0. And with the way the defense was playing, I don't think the Giants would have been close anyways, but I just feel like that Fitz unbelievable forced fumble really helped spread this game out and gave the Cardinals a lot of comfort. How about you, Jody?
Hold up, Kyle, you can't say momentum. Just say momentum. Say it. It's very easy.
A lot of comfort.
He said tenor. A lot of tenor. All right, Jody,
with it.
Come on, take it away.
No, I had to say, the kicking game was solid yesterday, right? Even for Kylie Fitz. Now, that was just one of those strange things, you don't see that all the time. And it was fortunate for the Cardinals for sure. And it was good to see special teams really have a good day overall in New York. So when I look at my jam, I'm going to go with the game. It was late in the game. It was a point in the game where, the Cardinals felt good about the outcome of the game and had it maybe in hand, even, you could say. But hooking up with DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray for 41 yards, he just got loose in this particular play. So when you see this connection anytime, to me, that's a positive for the Cardinals. This is a 2nd and 9. Like I said, they're up by 16, 10 minutes left in the fourth, but he is just wide open. And any chunk play is a welcome sight, at this point in time with the Cardinals, because they're still trying to build that part of their game, the vertical game, and seeing DeAndre in general. And I know he'll be a topic a little bit later on. Probably one of you, maybe even picking him for the Rise and Shine player of the game. But 136 yards receiving. Back to the beginning of the season when this connection is so crucial for the Cardinals, and a number of guys you saw Christian Kirk getting the ball, you saw Kenyon Drake running in the passing game as well. But love to see Hopkins Murray connection, and that 41-yard gain obviously helped the average there in that game. So this is something to build on for the next 3 games. We saw it early; it kind of went away. You saw a little more angst and kind of trying to figure it out between Kyler and DeAndre, but we saw a lot of things offensively yesterday. We even saw Kyler under center a couple of times. And I think that just shows like there are options. There's too much talent on this offense to not be able to have some big plays. And so that was one of them. How about you, Felipe?
I'm going to put my Kyle Odegard hat on. I'm going to go with the Dan Arnold touchdown. And obviously it was a good 7-yard touchdown, but Kyler Murray seems more confident in the pocket, each and every week. And you mentioned how important it's going to be for him to, have that vertical passing game going. But, it seems like every time he makes a touchdown in the pocket, throwing from the pocket, this offense is kind of percolating. Am I using it right, Kyle? Am I using that vocab word? It seems like he's
Not
gaining
really.
confidence. Oh, man. All right, I'm gonna take my power.
It's a good effort, though. It's a good effort, but
I'm trying.
We challenged you to use that word, so you did it.
I almost did it. Not quite like Kyle, but anytime you can gain confidence in the pocket, and I like when Kyler Murray says, I don't necessarily have to run the ball for my team to win. So if you're able to be effective in the pocket, that opens up so much more of your game. And just think about it. If he's able to be just as efficient in the pocket as other semi-mobile quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers to an extent, man, this offense suddenly gets dangerous. And yeah, they've been one of the top offenses this year, but if he's able to be effective, it's going to be one of the top offenses for years to come. And it just opens up so much more of your game. In my opinion, one of the recipes for success in the playoffs is being able to be efficient in the pocket. Because, defenses are going to be more detailed in your game plan defensively, and they're going to limit him on the ground if it is that the Cardinals make the playoffs. So it's a good sign. Hopefully he keeps improving in the pocket. Lisa?
Hold up. What's your jam, though? Give us that.
I said it. I said the Dan Arnold touchdown. The 7-yard Dan Arnold touchdown.
I missed it because of the percolation.
Can I just say, maybe we can go around and just kind of a thought on how important is Dan Arnold? I mean, first of all, he was in the pocket on that play, but it seemed like, honestly, again, my concerns came out in this moment because they don't score that touchdown. And now you're thinking, all right, we're having the red zone woes, not able to, that was super important. And it almost, you're at 6:53 left in the half. So there's your first touchdown. And that just kind of, I think everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Even I did. And I'm not playing on the team, but you kind of feel like, okay, but Dan Arnold, can he be an elite tight end? I think he could. What are your guys?
Look at thoughts? That. Slow motion, even better. Yeah, that's 3 touchdowns in 2 games now. Obviously receiver-like skills. As a tight end. So I love that they are leaning more towards him and giving him the opportunity. So love to see it. And he obviously made that big play. We always joke, we call him Big Dan. Look at that beautiful picture there.
That's a great
shows the height. No one else can go up and get that.
I think, didn't he say afterward, like, where Kyler, just throw it where no one else can get it but me, right? And that's
there's that confidence there. And Big Dan, we trust. All right, is it my turn?
Yes,
it's your turn. Sorry, I had to go in on Dan Arnold there and just elaborate on.
Yes,
thank God a touchdown.
Definitely. All right. My jam is the golden strip sack, the fumble that led to his return to really just kick things off. It was 5 plays in, and it's Marcus Golden that just starts the fire here, starts that sack party, and his return, showing off some of his old running back skills. If you can believe that. Yes, he was a running back. And just
In
a
high
month
school.
ago, he was a giant. He was wearing that big blue, and now he's with the Cardinals, obviously happy to be an Arizona Cardinal. But you couldn't have scripted this better. The fact that he was going back, literally was just there. He did not, play into that when we were asking him heading into this week if this was any bigger of a game for him. Having just been a giant. And he was like, no, every game, which we believe, every game he shows up, we know that. But that had to feel good just to kind of just kick things off for this defense that ended up, just dominating all game. So again, another spark, another fast start for this team, something that we've been seeing a little bit more of a trend. This did set them up, the offense, pretty nicely. Of course, they weren't able to capitalize on it at first, but some red zone things that are popping up here, but it's okay. We got the win.
I feel like
And,
Daniel Jones was having probably nightmares last night about Golden and Reddick coming at him and attacking him and trying to take the ball away.
If you look back at in 2009 when they played the Giants, it was 8 sacks, and I was looking at that. I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to even. We'll see what happens. And I could not have imagined that they would be able to redo it without Chandler Jones, obviously. So the fact that, yes, Golden showed up big in that moment to kind of just kick things off, which would eventually be an 8-sack game for the Cardinals, which I know he will be a rise and shine player in the mix here. So let's get right into it. Kyle, who is your rise and shine player?
Yeah, we're enough talk about the defense. Let's go with some offense here. DeAndre Hopkins. We all know how good he is, but these last 3 games, he wasn't as involved and wasn't as much of a playmaker as he's been earlier in the season. And I think Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray seriously realized we need to throw him the ball in good spots. I mean, there was a lot of plays against the Rams where he ran 3 yards down the field and they just threw him the ball in garbage time and hoped he could make a play, and it didn't amount to much. But in this one, he was really stretching the field. Kyler Murray was looking for him often. And when you have DeAndre Hopkins making plays like that, it feels like it just opens up the offense a lot, and the defense is obviously going to be worried about him. And I do like that he didn't completely stick to the left side of the formation. They've been doing that a lot with DeAndre Hopkins, and a lot of that is because of Cliff Kingsbury's air raid background, where because of the schematics, you like having your X receiver over there. You'll sometimes put 3 receivers on the other side, and you can kind of dictate what you want based on how the defense plays that. But in this one, DeAndre Hopkins was in the slot. He was on the right side. He was doing a lot of different things, and I think that helped change things up and maybe caught the Giants defense off guard a little bit because they hadn't been doing that. And if DeAndre Hopkins can put up 100-yard games consistently in these last 3, I think it's going to give the Cardinals a good shot at making the playoffs. Jody?
Yeah, he's crucial to this team. I'm going to go back with defense for my rise and shine player, though, and just a great effort by the entire defense yesterday. And as Lisa mentioned, the 8 sacks. And that first one, that was her jam, going with Marcus Golden. But what I also like about Marcus Golden is that energy that he brings. And that was what I loved hearing after this game, is that the guys were very focused on this, knew the urgency of it, both on offense and on defense. But Marcus Golden always brings that. He's a guy that, it's much like we talked about having a guy like Larry Fitzgerald and his leadership. Well, Marcus Golden coming back to this team, he just adds to that energy. And a lot of guys have that. Buda Baker for sure. And there it is again. There's the play. And like Lisa mentioned, he's had a couple of those now at the start of the game. Just starts everything off on the right tone. Obviously, they didn't win the other game where he was able to start fast and kind of do the same exact thing he did right there. But I love it. It's an Energizer Bunny. He's a guy that this team going back and they're bringing him onto the roster. This is going to bode well for these last 3 games, hopefully, and hopefully getting into the playoffs, especially with the fact that Vance Joseph has had to get creative, not having Chandler Jones. And they continue to do some pretty solid things schematically up front. But Marcus Golden, my rise and shine player, did have the sack. I don't know, Dennis Gardeck was in there too in the mix for me with the 2 sacks, again, limited playing time. So I love it. Hit the strobe, right? That's a crazy, it's just every time I see him do that, it's like, it's so crazy, but I love it.
Never too early to hit the strobe.
Never too early.
5 sacks on the season for Dennis Gardeck now. Incredible.
It is nice. I mean, this pass rush, they're finding guys that they're finding ways for them to get to the quarterback, and they're having fun. It really livens up the entire team, not just the defense. But all right, Felipe, who's your player of the game?
Talking about the strobe, we're gonna have like a tutorial with Dennis Gardeck to teach us how to do that, so you can show it off on the morning scramble. But
I would love that.
my rise and shine, Lisa, I got you. Kenyon Drake, and we've all touched on, I talked about how Kyler Murray being effective in the passing game opens up everything else. Kyle obviously just mentioned how going to DeAndre Hopkins for 136 yards opens up everything, and it did for this rushing attack that has been practically non-existent the past 2 to 3 weeks. Anytime Kenyon Drake rushes for 80 yards on 23 attempts with a touchdown, our producer Jacob just put, let's see your best imitation of Gardeck's strobe. Like, I don't want to embarrass myself, Jacob. Sorry, man. Next time. But anytime you have Drake rushing for 80 yards on 23 attempts, you mix that in with, Chase Edmonds 30-something rushing yards on 7 attempts. You have 100 or more rushing yards in the game. That's always, you're always, and you mix that in with the defense playing the way they did. That's the recipe for success. I know I've talked about, when you talk about the playoffs, if it is the Cardinals make it, that's also a recipe for success. A good running game and a stellar defense. And we saw finally this team getting back to what they're accustomed to, being one of the top rushing attacks in the NFL. Let's not forget Kyler Murray's 43 rushing yards on 13 attempts. That's the cherry on top. Lisa.
I feel like Kenyon, by the way, he could hit 1,000-yard mark. I believe he's at 790. I'm just kind of, it flashes. I read this, and that would be kind of cool. That would be pretty cool to see. That's a good pick, Felipe. I like it.
Yeah, and as Kyle said in the pregame show, I loved how he called it the bread and butter of this offense. We needed to see this run game get going, and they did, which served them well in this game against the Giants. So good job, Kyle. A little pat on your back. I'm going to use that now. Bread and butter. All right, So my Rise and Shine player is Reddick. Duh. I called dibs on him on our post-game show because this guy, he got me emotional over here after the game, seeing the tears come down his face. You could just tell how much he loves the game. And it's not just after performance like this. It's him working every day for this, that we've seen him for the past 4 years being put out of position. He started on the inside, completely out of position. But you know what? You never heard him complain. You never saw a shady tweet go out or a quote from an inspirational, music video. I don't know. He just is not that guy. Okay. So the fact that he's always putting his head down, working hard, never making too much a commotion about it, and just finally seeing him in his natural position, coming off the edge. That's what he's always known. That's what he can do. And we're seeing it come to life here. 5 sacks, guys, yesterday. It's huge. He set a new franchise record for most sacks in a single game for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, he's had different coordinators every single year, different defenses he's had to pick up and learn, positions, and just has never complained. And that's what I love most about him. I was able to sit down with him last week. I think I picked the wrong week to interview him. But it was mainly just about his journey, really. And now to cap it off with a 5-sack game. And Chandler Jones had 4 last year in 2019 against the Giants. So he said, I'm going to get 1 more and get 5. It's just something that you love to see for a guy that is so deserving, just works so hard. And Marcus Golden in the post-game show said that, there was just a look in his eye. He said that he felt like he was going to have a big game, that Reddick would have a big game. And it sure happened. So I guess all you have to do is have that look in your eye, guys, and pile up 5 sacks for the day. I just couldn't believe. I don't know. You guys watching the game was like, there's Reddick again. And I was literally making tallies. Like I stopped writing numbers and just started doing tallies because I was losing track. He just
I
was.
mean, you could just see him beating his man. It was impressive. And he said after the game, he saw some things on film and he worked with the coaches. And I mean, he's always had that focus, I think, but now it's like he kind of sees, I don't, the carrot is there. He's got double-digit sacks. I mean, that confidence was growing throughout the game too.
Yeah.
And you're right, Lisa. I feel like as a former first round pick, a lot of those guys have a sense of entitlement coming out into the NFL. Like they should be playing. And if they're not playing well, it's not their fault. But he's always been very honest about what's been going on with him when it didn't work at inside linebacker. And I just think what you said was right on. The fact that he never lashed out, never complained. I mean, even behind the scenes, you'll hear guys grumble about stuff, even if they don't say it publicly. He didn't ever put it on anybody else and just worked hard. And I think all the success he has now is just a testament to that and being willing to be humble and say, it hasn't worked yet, but I still believe in myself. I'm going to keep my head down and grind. And it's just a fantastic story for a guy like him to not have success for 3 whole years and to all of a sudden break out in his 4th year. And knowing that he's in his last year of his contract, now he's going to get some really nice offers in free agency, most likely. So for him financially too, it's a great year and a great future for Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it's a contract year situation going on right now, Felipe. A lot of guys, when they're in that contract year and they're like showing up all of a sudden, this is just him working hard every year to lead up to this moment. What do you think?
I mean, I was just honestly going to give credit to Vance Joseph for putting him in that position. It's his 2nd year in the position. And I feel like when things go south, people like to point the finger at the coaches. But when things are going right, like I rarely see anybody give Vance Joseph credit. So putting guys like Marcus Golden and, Devon Kennard had a pretty decent game yesterday too. And then you mix that in with Gardeck's sacks and then obviously Reddick's game. That's a testament to Vance Joseph's scheme. So it's just good to see. Hopefully they keep it up in these last, couple of games and, crossing our fingers they get into the postseason and have a similar performance.
All right, Kyle, it's your turn to bring home the bacon, the crispy bacon, as Felipe likes to call it. What you got for us today?
Yeah, I think more looking at the big picture after this win, going into the game, the Cardinals were 6-6. And when you started the season, I think Cardinals fans would have been probably okay with 6-6 through the first 12 games. But with the way it happened, starting 5-2 and 6-3 and losing 3 in a row, it certainly felt like if they lost another one, went to 6-7, got buried in the playoff race, that would have been a tough pill to swallow. So I think it's a good thing for this team and for the fans that the Cardinals are now in that 7 seed to make the playoff. Of being in the playoffs, and it'd be nice if they can finish it out in these last 3 games. I think they need to win 2 of them. I think if they win 2 of 3, they'll be in pretty good position to make the playoffs. And going into the year, I felt like that was kind of a coin flip if they could make the playoffs. But after this start, it certainly felt like this was a playoff team to get back on track, to be in that mix. I think they deserve it. And it's nice to see that, the doomsday and the sky is falling that we've heard for the last couple of weeks, that's behind them a little bit now. There's a sense of optimism about where they're going, and now they just have to finish it out.
Yeah, Jody, does a win like this, just seeing all 3 phases show up, give you the confidence that they could sustain that with these last final 3 games ahead of them?
I think it could. I mean, that's what we're going to find out against Philadelphia. Obviously, a team with Jalen Hurts now that looks a little bit energized themselves. But, we'll see. They do come back home. And, there was just that building of confidence, like you said, even with the kicking game with Nugent making field goals and you're kind of like seeing the deep breath on the sideline. And then, involving Hopkins, Drake running, Kyler running, and doing some different things, moving guys around on the field. And already, this offense, I think at times it almost looked too simple, but it's capable of being very complex. And so it's just a matter of what are you able to do against that defense? So absolutely, I think this goes a long way, even though, it's a Giants team that has deficiencies, but was playing pretty well, at least defensively. And, all we needed, and we knew on the show, I mean, we're just like, we just need a win, you need to get a win to be able to kind of highlight the things that this team is capable of doing. And we know that they are. Now it's just a matter of, can they keep that energy up? I'd like to really see that. I mean, just see that focus continue, because it's not easy. I mean, we just, it has been a long season. There's been a lot going on, obviously, all the extra stuff that these guys have to do. But again, that prize is at the end. You get into the playoffs, it's all worth it. So I think they have every motivation to keep up their focus and that urgency. And like Kyle said, 2 of 3, that is going to be the key for them. Can they pull that off? And, we're going to find out. I hope that they can.
What's the magic number for you, Felipe?
3, if I can. I don't know.
Win all out?
Yeah, there you
3
go.
makes it
Why
easy.
Hey, that'd be pretty nice. That'd make it easy.
Yeah, make it easy. I'm going to go out and say, if the Cardinals fail to make the postseason, it's going to be a disappointment. Just thinking about all the weapons they have, Hopkins, a good running game, a pretty great defense. I've just seen it in the past couple of weeks. If they fail to qualify, it's going to be a disappointment. I'm looking ahead to that January 3rd matchup against the Rams, because you saw what the Rams did to them at home. Now I want to see the real adjustment from this coaching staff. What are you going to do different against, the Rams? Obviously, you have to win. You have to beat the Eagles and 49ers. The team's not necessarily overlooking any opponent, but when you talk about, staying, competing against the big boys, I mean, that's the game that you want to see them compete. That's the game you want to see the run game, dominate. DeAndre Hopkins go for 100+ yards against Jalen Ramsey. This defense make the adjustment against the play action and Jared Goff. So that's the game I'm looking forward to. I'll put it out there. If they don't make the postseason, it's definitely going to be a disappointment.
Yeah, you definitely can't overlook anything. Next up on course for the Arizona Cardinals, the Eagles. Jalen Hurts looking good. This team re-energized, but we'll see what they can do next Sunday, December 20th. Almost Christmas time, guys. Can the Cardinals gift us with a playoff run here?
Mm-hmm.
We shall see. That should be nice, right? Jody, are you eating your cookies for Christmas already?
No, I have not had the cookies yet.
Come on.
We have donuts here. I know. It's so sad I can't share my donuts with you guys anymore.
Virtual.
The good old days and freezing together, doing the show. But I would love, all Cardinals fans want that playoff gift, right? Nothing better than that.
All right, everyone. You guys enjoy this Earned Victory Monday. We've been missing it here on the Morning Scramble. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Facebook and YouTube for the Morning Scramble following that Eagles game. See you next time.